Good afternoon. The sun is shining at last and not a cloud in the sky, so I thought I'd get the solar scope out. So hello and good afternoon. Alright, so here we've got the full disk view of the sun. So this is with the Lunt LS80 solar scope with the single stack pressure tuner, and the focus looks not too bad, and the pressure tuner looks like it's dialed in not too bad as well. So this is the full disk view, and in terms of activity around the disk, what have we got? Oh, blowing it out too much there. We've not got many big flares around the edge. We've got a few around the top here, but generally it looks pretty quiet. So at the moment this is just the native focal length of the telescope, which I think is 580mm, and I do have obviously both a 2.5 multiplier and a 4x multiplier that I can put onto the scope. I thought I'll just start off with the full disk view. So as you can see, we've got a number of sunspot regions. So these have just come into view over the last couple of days as the sun's rotated around, or we've rotated around as well, whatever way you want to look at it. And there's a number of filaments running across pretty much the center of the sun disk, solar disk. That's these grey wavy bands you can see on the surface of the sun. See if we can adjust the colour, just the contrast just a bit. Focus is maybe shifted just slightly. It's not too bad. Let me just check I'm in the centre of the telescope. It's not drifted off. It gives me the optimum optical alignment. Let me change the reticule to a round one so I can try and line up. Yeah, we're not bad off there. Maybe a touch high, but that'll be fine. I've got the sun back in the centre now. Good afternoon, whoever's lurking. Don't be afraid to come and say hi in the chat, so I know who's there. We're looking at a full view disk of the sun, and I may add on the multipliers later on just to go closer in on the detail. So these are the solar regions, the bottom left there, I think this is this cluster up here, which is solar regions 3, 9, 7, 6, 7, 7 and 7, 8. And these have just come into view over the last couple of days. And a number of filaments running across there, the centre of the disk. In terms of the numbers of sunspots, so according to the Space Weather Live, we've got 3, 6, 8 individual solar regions, and within each of those regions you can see there is a number of sunspots and their classifications allocated to each of them. And the sun seems to be pretty quiet at the moment. There's not a lot of activity in the last couple of hours in terms of solar flares and things. So it's pretty stable. It's a bit more active than it was a couple of days ago when I had a look at this website. The sun was pretty quiet in general. There wasn't a lot of activity on the surface at all. And I'm just keeping my eyes open to see if any of these regions start to indicate any potential flare activity. You'll see that by a brightening in the core of the area. So let me zoom right in. When we start to see a bit of heightening activity, these areas within the solar regions tend to go really bright white, which could indicate a flare forming or getting ready to eject. Good afternoon, who's just joined? I've got bugs crawling around this observatory. Out you go. Yes, you can see the telescope, the solar telescope, on the top left of the feed, and that is the Lunt LS80MT modular telescope. It's currently fitted with the single stack pressure tuner, and it's also using a ZWO ASI174 mono camera. So basically it's a black and white view of the sun, and we can put some false colour on it. Usually if I switch the camera into mono 8 mode, there is a function in SharpCap, which is the software we're using here, to do a false colorization, as you can see. And the atmosphere seems to be pretty stable at the moment. We're not getting a lot of wobbling in the image, which is good. It certainly makes it easier when actually trying to capture any activity on the surface. Let me zoom right in on this solar sunspot region. And we can see all the flares. So if we look at this white sunspot region in the center of the image, in terms of size, so the Earth would quite comfortably sit in the center of that white band. If I turn up the gain on the camera and sort of overexpose the sun, we will start to see what's going on around the disk of the sun, so which is obviously buried behind the really bright surface of the sun. And as you can see at the top there, we do have a few flares that are peeking round, but nothing too massive at the moment. All pretty tame. Oh, that was something just flying in front of the sun there. Whether it was a bird here on Earth or something going in between the sun and the earth. It would probably be too small to be detected, so most likely a bird. Occasionally, depending on where my scope's pointing, so if it sort of come round to more, so we're heading obviously looking south at the moment. It's 1:15 in the afternoon here in Cyprus, but as the telescope comes round more to the west, I start to look through the flight path for the airports, so Larnaca and Paphos Airport on the south of the island, and occasionally we do get a plane coming through. So yeah, it's all pretty quiet at the moment on the sun. Whether we see any of these filaments starting to move off, or any new region formations, we just have to keep our eyes peeled. This area here on the left of the sun, so to the left of that white sunspot region, we can see it starting to brighten up. There seems to be an arc of brightness starting to form. So whether there's something going on there that's ready to form into a more distinct region. See if I'm going a little bit more without getting too blurry. And if I can turn up the gain just a touch. That's a bit hard, it's so small subtle details. Yeah, so this region here, there seems to be something starting to develop, and we've got a little bit, and it looks like we do have something starting to form on the surface. I wonder if I can get to stack that region where we're pointing there. So I want to get this region here. So what we're doing here is SharpCAC, the software, is actually doing image stacking itself on that region. So you can see the grey and white area in the background is still moving around, and the camera is currently capturing frames, 130 frames a second, and then SharpCAC is analysing all those frames and stacking them up. It's taking every 75 frames, it stacks an image to give us this more stable, sharpened image. So then we can turn on some of the wavelet sharpening and things and adjust them to try and bring out some more of the detail in these regions. But it's so easy to just overblow the sharpening to the point where it just doesn't look right. So you can see if I pull up this fine detail one, it starts to make it look a little bit too grainy. And we can put a bit of denoising on. Good afternoon, Ian. You've got sun in Stonehaven as well. Well, that is just wonderful. We've actually got some nice weather turned up here today. starting to warm up as well, which is good. I don't know what it is today, but the wind's died off. It was a cold, chilly wind coming through yesterday. Let me take off this in stacking, and there we go, back to the normal view. Yeah, this region to the left, there's definitely starting to show a bit more life. I can see 3 brightened white filaments starting to form, and then around this area here there seems to be definitely some sort of formation developing. We don't like the cold anymore, do we? And old age creeps in. So good afternoon everybody who's joined. Don't be afraid to say hello in the chat and let us know where you're from. So we do have the Lunt solar scope, which is the LS80 modular telescope with a single stack pressure tuner, and it's configured for its native focal length with I think it's 580mm, which gives us a full disc view of the sun. And I'm just keeping an eye on these various areas to see what's developing, and then I've got the option I can always add in either a 2.5x or a 4x multiplier into the optical train to get us closer in on the detail, and I can always combine both of those multipliers as well to get us even further, but the conditions need to be perfect for that. So these are the multipliers here. I've got a TeleView 4x PowerMate, which is this black and silver one here. That drops into the optical train, and then I've also got the Celestron Luminos, which is a 2.5 multiplier, and they just go onto the focuser, the telescope, and then the camera just goes in to them. So there's not a lot of activity happening around the disc today, and I boost the gain of the camera up. It's pretty tame around the perimeter at the moment. There's not a lot happening there at all, so all eyes are on this region on the left. Let me turn the gain back down, where this area seems to be developing. So that 3 white areas have just formed over the last half hour or so, and there seems to be some sort of formation forming around this arc here, and also this splodge on the left. Just want to pop. Let me pull up this. popping a message onto one of the Discord groups. Just a second. Okay, so how are we looking? Okay, so let's go back to just a full disk for a minute. We seem to be drifting off a little bit in the image, I think. No, not too bad. We'll give the scope a nudge over. Obviously the solar alignment isn't quite right on the scope. So that's what it looks like on the mono view without the false colorization applied. So we've switched the camera into the mono 16 view, so you should be able to get more detail. If we put on the enhancement, turn off colorization. Why is it not letting me turn that off? There we go, must be a bug in the software that prevents you from turning it off if the adjustments are turned off. So the camera is shooting around 65 frames a second in mono 16, a full disk view. So we could increase that by only taking a snapshot of the solar area itself. So that's increased it to 80 as we've reduced the amount of image area being captured. I must have made a change to the software, because the solar colorization used to only work previously in the mono 8 mode, but now it's working in mono 16. Are you still there, Ian? What are you working now? Are you working just a couple of days a week for them, or are you stopped again, or what's your current status of play? Bug. Apache must be really starting to wind things down now then, are they? Did they not say they were pulling out completely by the end of this year? Hello there, Mr. Plumpy. How are you today? Decommissioning, okay. I'm just waking up. Where are you hiding in the world then? Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Weather's improved, which helps. That's why I thought, well, I haven't done a solar stream for a while, so I thought I'd crack the scope open. So we're currently looking at a full disk view of the sun. I've just zoomed in with a Lunt solar scope, and I'm just watching this area on the left. It seems to be developing into something. So this region around here is certainly changed. There was 3 filaments, white filaments starting to form, and they seem to be merging, or 2 of them seem to be merging into this one region. And to the left of it you can see this other splodge that also seems to be developing a sunspot region. And we have got a number of filaments across the centre of the sun, all these grey regions on the surface. It seems to be focused around this sunspot region, so I'll maybe put a multiplier on and we'll go in closer on these 2 areas. The large region at the bottom seems to be pretty stable, not a lot happening down there. Okay, let me go and put the 2.5x multiplier on the scope, and we'll go in closer to this active region. Where have I just put them? I just had them in my hand a second ago. They don't just vanish. What have I done with them? Oh, it's standing up. So I'll put the 2.5x multiplier in. We'll see how it looks. Let's get this dust off a bit first. Good afternoon, those that have just joined in. Seems to be about a 10-15 second delay, if not a little bit more, between what I'm putting out and what I'm getting back in on YouTube. Right, okay, so here's the 2.5x Celestron luminous multiplier, Barlow. So I'll go and pop that into the optical train, and we'll try and get closer in on this region here. The atmosphere seems to be pretty stable, which is helping, and we'll see what things look like. With a bit of tweaks, I need to adjust the pressure tuner slightly as temperatures and things change and the pressure within the telescope fluctuates, but we'll get this multiplier in and take it from there. Back in a second. So I had the eyepiece in, I can reconnect the camera. Right, so now with the camera in, I need to adjust the exposure because I put in the Barlow. And then might need to try and re-find the sun and refocus. Get rid of focus. This is a tricky bit. I can never remember if I need to go out or go in. I think I needed to go in. Yeah. 5,000. Thank you very much, Plumpy. Appreciate it. Oh, there we go. I've just gone right through focus, so let's come back out. Oh, too many zeros. There we go. You see a lot more detail there. Let's turn down the gain again. adjust the curve, pull out the zoom. Right, there we go. Now move the scope over a bit. So that's now at 100% with the 2.5x multiplier. Now if we just add this to 150, there we go. What's next for the oboe? Well, Ian, that'd be an interesting thought. I need to fix the shutter, so I've still got problems with the communications for the shutter, so I need to look at how I'm going to do that. I would like to put a second pressure tuner onto the solar scope so I can get even more detail in the images, and perhaps change the camera on the solar scope as well to a cooled solar scope. So I was looking at the, I think it's called the Player One Max, which is dedicated for solar. So it basically uses the same telescope and everything, it's just a different camera design and qualities or specs. Other than that, I'm going to put I want to put on a sliding roof over the two external telescopes, so that when I'm at home I don't have to keep taking covers on and off all the time. And I'm thinking of incorporating onto the section that goes over the top of the Edge 11 telescope, the bigger one, another couple of solar panels to increase the power into the observatory, so we'll charge the batteries quicker and deeper, and in the summer it should give me extra power there through the 240 system for running the air conditioning through the day, because obviously it gets really hot in the 38-39 degrees C during the day in the observatory, and it's not very pleasant sitting in that when you're trying to do stuff. So that's what's sort of on the agenda, I think. On the sim rig though, I'm absolutely loving that new motion system, so I don't know what next I'm going to do with that. I'll maybe leave it for a while. I do fancy putting on triples. And your workshop, have you done any more mods to it, Ian? You'll be making a bigger one soon. Building a whole new one? Oh, I'll certainly keep you occupied. This region on the left seems to have calmed down, but we are getting a filament forming to the bottom of that white region. I don't think there's been any. Oh, going the wrong way. I want to have a look at that other one down the bottom. I should really take some flats. I can see some marks on the screen. There's certainly not a lot happening around the perimeter. And there's the inverted view. We turn off the colorization. Let's see if we do an autofocus and see how it does. Okay, it's just flattening off the peak there. So around about 1390 it should focus back to. $13.95. Okay, one autofocus done. Did you get another doggy in to replace the one that sadly passed? Oh, back. There we go. Yeah, this filament here seems to be forming. Alright, so what's been happening? We're still pretty flat on the solar activity over the last 2 hours. So it's pretty stable at the moment. Good afternoon to those that have just popped in. So just so you're up to date with what we're doing, we're in Cyprus at the moment, and I've got the Lunt LS80 modular telescope with the single stack pressure tuner. I've got a Celestron Luminous 2.5x Barlow in the optical train, and I've got an ASI174 mono camera, and we're imaging using SharpCap Pro, and the view you can see on there is a false colorization using the software. And we've been watching this region of the sun, particularly the left region, where there's been some formation of some new filaments and plages on the surface of the sun, and there seems to be a developing region just to the left near the edge of the disk. I did have a look around the perimeter of the sun, boosted up the gain of the camera, blew out the sun, but there's not a lot of activity around the edge at the moment. It's all pretty stable. To increase the gain a little bit. Now I'm going to capture that area there. Do a quick 30-second capture. Okay, so let's see if Reggie stacks. God, it's been ages since I've used this. Where did that captures go? That's the question. th30th of January, that's the date. It's hung up. Software's hung up. Cancel, yes. I have used the wrong software. Come out of that. That's what I meant to use. There we go, that's what I was looking for. Right. Desktop. I'll stack that. Okay, job done. Close this. Now we go back to Registacks. So that's a stacked image out of AutoStacker. And now we want to place a reference. And show processing area. Just down here. Let's move it up to here. Hash. Let's save that out. Okay, come out of that. Dark veil leading to the bright area. Well, I think this one in the middle. These are filaments that have probably come out. So the region's being ejected from the surface. And we can see an arc here formed in the magnetic field, and you can see two others. This one sweeping around there and another one sweeping around here. Now this one down on the bottom left, that formed around that white band when it formed. So whether it's popped out this material and that area erupted. There's definitely something forming in this circular area here on the left. Right, let's take that image that we just stacked and then sharpened into Pixel Sight and see what the Solar Toolbox does to it. If I can remember how to use it, it's been that long. So file, open, copy. That's an old path. So is that one. Desktop, shortcut, today, capture. We want that one, the Registacks one. Okay. So that's a raw image that we're working with. And we want Solar Toolbox, should be here. Prominence boost, contrast, color, sharpening, surface and prominence. Now we want to make the color slightly darker. Now will I do contrast or next door neighbour's dogs are having a fit by the sounds of it. We want it more golden, so we want to increase the red and the green. Why is it not changing much? Because when I need a faster PC. Nope. What's happening there? Come on, machine, you can do it. It's not what I wanted. It's too much red there. What's the sun doing? Right, we've got too much blue now. I can never remember my parameters. I should write them down. The mini PC is just not quite quick enough for doing this real time. Still too much blue there. I'm going to turn off that just now. I'll mess around with this later, I think. And we're getting there. We're getting there this way. Oh shit. Undo. That's a little bit better. Yeah, so there's a half-hearted image. Right, so there's back to the real-time view. I think the focus has drifted a little bit. Right, what's that other region doing down at the bottom? That's the top. Let's do a autofocus on there. And pull this down here. There's too much movement there to keep it happy. No, we're going out of focus, definitely. No, it's not right. I need to go the other way. So we're probably around about there somewhere. Let's do one more click and see what happens. Yeah, it's gone down again, so we'll go back 15. Around about there. Do a quick grab. Okay. Now we can go over to set the imaging area down here. Okay, so that was the second one we just grabbed. Oh, screwed that up. Right, I'll just pop in the 4X and see how that looks. See if it'll behave. See how this comes out. Right, so that's the 4X in, so now I need to increase the exposure and adjust the focus. Which way am I going? Positive or negative? Positive. Okay, we've just gone past it, I think. No, maybe not. Around there somewhere. Conditions are quite variable. It's not helping. Around about here somewhere. I'll leave it there for the sake of one click, and it could be messed up by backlash in the focus motor. So there's a 4x multiplier into the native 580, so it's at 2320 millimeters focal length. And if we turn on auto enhancement without colorization, and increase the size of this box. There's the auto stacking. Aggressive there. Oh. Right, so that's with and without. Hey, cool zombie, how are you doing? Have you been lurking for a while in the background? Yeah, so there's the 4x multiplier on the solar scope with a live view with the false colorization applied. Just to curve her a little bit, I think. And then there's all the filaments and that new region at the top there. Gain's a touch high, I think. It's blowing out that sunspot. There we have it. So there's not a lot else happening on the sun today. There's obviously this region here with all these filaments across the surface, and then down the bottom we do have this other sunspot region, which is this area around here. So regions 3976, 77 and 3978, and then that other one I think is at 3974. This 3979 with the two small sunspots, I don't know how visible they are. Oh, that's the wrong software. Let's go back to SharpCap and we'll move across the surface and see if we can find the other two. Must be up the other way. I think this is them in here. Not very, yeah, I think that's them. Not very noticeable, but they're there nevertheless. And then up the top there's nothing really happening apart from a big filament stretched across the sun and a dirty splodge on one of the lenses somewhere. So around the perimeter, if I boost the gain up, what can we see? There's not a great deal happening. Wrong button again. Let me turn off the false colorization, it might help us pull out. Gain's a bit high. There's not a lot happening at all around the perimeter. What's the door wanting? Money, there's a surprise. Alright Zombie, you take care. I'll catch you again another time. So I could try and apply a flat by defocusing the image. So if I go to the core of the sun, around about here, somewhere where it's pretty neutral, that'll do, and then defocus on the sun by quite a bit. So if I come out until it's basically grey, you can see all the dust bunnies on the lenses. So I can do a flats capture if I can remember how to do it. Capture flats and do start. And that should apply image controls, pre-processing. Right, so it's applied that flat, and now if we focus back in again, it should have taken out that dust, which it has done. So it's made the edge of the right hand side of that image a bit off now. You really need to use a proper flat field. Hey Skywatcher Dinos, how are you this afternoon? So we've got the Lunt Solar Scope, the LS8AMT, with a single stack pressure tuner, an ASI174mm camera, and I've currently also got a Teleview PowerMate 4X Barlow in the optical train, and obviously pointing here at the sun, and it's all pretty quiet. We did earlier on see some developing features on the left hand side when I was using just the native focal length and the 2.5 multiplier, but they've seemed to have fizzled out and just gone to these lighter areas now, and there's not a lot else happening. It's all pretty quiet. We've got this sunspot region in the center of the image, and then there's another larger cluster of regions, so this is 3 regions down the bottom, which we can see there, and then there's another 2 very small spots at the other side of the sun as well. region smaller. And there's the automatic stacking of that sunspot region. And we'll just do a quick invert. I don't know if these filaments are getting bigger, these grey areas here. This one's certainly snaking across the surface, sourcing from this central hotspot. Oh, got some animal life. Got two lizards chasing each other. Away you go, get out the observatory. Thank you. I thought my webcam had frozen there. Alright, so that's pretty much it for today. That's what, an hour and 50 minutes of just bumbling around the surface of the sun with a couple of captures. I could probably tidy these up a bit better. They were just quick raw captures, or quick processing I should say. Yeah, so there we have it. Today's activity as it stands at the moment. Not a lot else to say. So maybe wrap things up, leave you to enjoy your day. So thank you very much for joining in, passing by, and hopefully we'll get online again sometime soon. I think I will head over to my other channel and maybe go some sim racing. I'll have to wait and see. Alright, so thanks for joining. We'll catch you again sometime. Take care of yourselves and clear skies. We'll see you around.